We're there in Atlanta, Fulton County, lifelong resident. So give us a sense of how people there in your community see this latest indictment against President Trump.
Yeah, thanks, Terrence. Thanks for having me. Well, I own a business here, hit 29 years last month. So still through the financial crash, through the pandemic, I'm still here chugging along. But, one thing about the great city of Atlanta, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I see many people come on all these networks and talk about Fulton County in Georgia. But, I have a vested interest being 3 and 4 generations here, but also growing with the business community, whether we are Democrats or Republicans. I served on the advisory committee for the '96 Olympics. And the reason why we landed the Olympics because we were a reputation of a city that was too busy to hate. So the answer to your question on that, Terrence, and Real America viewers, is that, we have a rogue district attorney. We all know that. We hear those sound bites everywhere. But, the problem is with such a fast growing city, it's attracted all types of people from all over the country, which did not come to adapt to the, quote, Southern great Atlanta history of who we are. And, Fani Willis is born in Inglewood, California, and she's from grew up in Washington, D.C., and has no real roots in Atlanta, the culture of who we are. And she's not the only one. There have been many more that migrated here who brought those particular ideologies to our great city. And the reflection shows, for example, Terrence, since she started this charade, she went on a fundraising deal, and out of the 45 states, 92% of the fundraising comes from outside of this area. That means that 8% have been funding it. So that tells you, to answer your question, I always say follow the money, and it has a lot to do where these donations are coming from. And these are coming from northeastern, West Coast states that are buying into this narrative, trying to stop President Trump. And she knows that. And these are great opportunities for a lot of these folks in Bragg and Letitia James in New York to capitalize on this craziness to, quote, fundraise. And you see this is happening. So that's a reflection. And the business community does not want this. Terrence, my main office right here in northern part of the perimeter area. I watched and had fellow colleagues lose their businesses during the riots under Keisha Lance Bottoms' leadership, which we all know she was a one-term mayor. That's the first time in the history of Atlanta that a mayor did not finish their 2 terms in the history of Atlanta. Because she bought into the autonomous zone, that crazy leftist woke culture, which had nothing to do, answer to your question, Terrence, on what's going on in Atlanta. That's not the culture who Atlanta really is. These are outside influence that took leadership roles. And I'll say this, I was great friends with Maynard Jackson, Andy Young, and all the civil rights people, my dad and my uncles who served in the civil rights movement. I'm a civil rights child who marched in those movements, et cetera. That's the culture of what we resurrected out of this great community. The largest Black-owned business ownership in the country next to Houston is right here in Atlanta. This is who we are. So for this dark cloud, answer to your question, what's the feeling? A lot of my business colleagues, car ownerships, restaurant owners, real notable people that have been in the game for like almost 30 plus years, like myself, that are totally opposed to this. But guess what? If they come out vocally, you know what happened. They deal with the political ramifications and attacking their businesses too, for them speaking out. So hopefully they'll get more courageous, Terrence, like myself and many more that are coming up that's going to stand against this craziness.